I just want to say that I think it is still way too early to grade the 2024 class. And I say this in front of every single one of my grading videos. I fully believe you have to give at least 3 years before you can grade a draft class. Now, I do want to do this because typically I do give grades after a Broncos rookie class finishes their rookie season, and I didn't do that. I was kind of on my hiatus and I came back and I never really found the time to do it because we are jumping into the draft content. But today we're regrading the 2024 Denver Broncos draft grades, and it's still way too early because when you initially grade them, it's stupid because they haven't played a snap in the NFL yet. And then even after 1 year, if a player exceeds expectations or if they fail expectations, a lot can change in the following season. So it is still a little bit too early, but I do want to give my updated grades on the Broncos 2024 rookie class following their rookie season. If you do enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as the support is greatly appreciated. And let's jump into this. So starting out with the 12th overall pick, we selected Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon. And Bo Nix, you can see that these are only the regular season stats, but he played in 17 games. You can say 18 if you include the playoff game. But you can see he had a solid rookie season, completing 376 passes on 567 attempts for 3,775 passing yards, while also getting 430 rushing yards, completing 66.3% of his passes. He had 34 total touchdowns, 29 of them being through the air, 4 on the ground, and he had 1 receiving touchdown in that Ravens game from Courtland Sutton. He did throw 12 interceptions, and a lot of those were at the beginning of the season, right? He threw 2 against the Seahawks, 2 against the Steelers in those first 2 games. Could have easily thrown more, right? And then there was one maybe you could say shouldn't have counted because it was on a Hail Mary, right? But at the end of the day, that kind of balances out for the ones that he should have thrown but weren't picked off. So 12 isn't bad. We'd like to see that obviously go down next season, but he did have a 93.3 passer rating for a quarterback, and to me, this was a fantastic pick. Initially, I gave this a grade of a B, right? I gave it a grade of a B because at the time, right, I did like Bo Nix as a prospect. I know there's a lot of Broncos fans and a lot of analysts who didn't like Bo Nix. I liked Bo Nix at the time. I don't think I ever had us drafting him at the 12th overall pick. I think when I did have us selecting Bo Nix, it was typically in a trade down scenario. But nonetheless, I gave it an initial grade of a B because I liked the pick. But, you know, with the value being 12, I was concerned, but I understood it at the time because Penix went at 8, because all the quarterbacks went off the board. You had to get your guy and you couldn't risk losing him. So I understood it. But giving my updated grade on the Bo Nix pick, I'm giving it an A+ because all indications are pointing to this is your franchise quarterback. You picked up your franchise quarterback in the first round at pick 12, and he was the 6th and last quarterback taken in the first round and was the most recent quarterback taken all the way until the 5th round, right? Because he was the 6th quarterback at 12. Spencer Rattler didn't go until the 5th round. And in my opinion, right, you can't let the outsiders say and influence your decision. If you have a guy who believe is your franchise quarterback, who is your guy, you go and get him. And that's what Sean Payton believed in Bo Nix, and getting your franchise quarterback at pick 12 as the last quarterback in the first round, staying at pick 12. I think it's got to be an A+, right? You know, there are some things that Bo Nix needs to improve on, right? I'm not saying he's the perfect prospect, but getting who seems to be your franchise quarterback in the first round, that's got to be an A+ pick. And so that is my updated grade on Bo. Moving on to the 3rd round, we didn't have a 2nd round pick. I think this was it still? No, this was part of the Sean Payton trade. We didn't have our 2nd round pick because we traded it away for Sean Payton. So then we picked here in the 3rd round, and at pick 76, we selected Jonah Elliss, edge rusher out of Utah, right? Jonah Elliss played in 17 games, 18th, including the playoff game, although he did leave early due to an injury. So I'm hoping he's recovering from that nicely. But in 17 games, he didn't start those games, by the way, right? At least not all of them. But he had 38 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, had 6 hits on the quarterback, and 5 sacks. And that's honestly pretty solid for a rotational edge rusher in his rookie year, right? The numbers aren't going to jump off the screen and it's not going to be fantastic, but I was honestly surprised by Jonah Elliss this season. I should say gladly surprised by Jonah Elliss and how he performed this season, because initially I did give Jonah Elliss a grade of a C because I knew who he was as a prospect, but I don't know, I was a little confused at the time, I think, because I liked the trio of edge rushers that we had at the time, which was Nick Bonito, who hadn't had his breakout season, obviously, Jonathan Cooper, and Baron Browning, right? And then we signed Andre Tillman, who I think was like a UFL MVP or something like that, who we signed to his rookie deal at the start of last season. And so I was kind of content with that. So I was shocked when we went with edge, but trenches will win you a lot of games. So I was presently surprised by Jonah Elliss. So I am going to be given an updated grade of a B because when he was on the field, when he did rotate in, he was solid, right? He got after the quarterback. He was productive. He helped in the run game, and you're building up the trenches and you're helping building your edge rushers, right? So you have depth at that position now because Baron Browning, I love Baron Browning, but after he got off to his hot start, I think it was 2 seasons ago, it was a couple seasons ago, is when we moved him from inside linebacker to an edge rusher, and he popped after those first few games, never really performed the same. That's why we moved him to the Arizona Cardinals. But Jonah Elliss coming in here gets a grade of a B. Does need to show a little bit more improvement, right? But I do like him as a rotational piece coming off the edge for the Broncos. Moving on to round 4, pick 102 with Troy Franklin. And here we traded up with the Seattle Seahawks. I believe we gave up our 4th round pick, obviously. I think we gave up the first pick in the 5th round because I think we had 3 5th round picks and something else maybe. But we traded up for Troy Franklin, and at the time I was hyped because I really wanted Troy Franklin for us to get him in the 3rd round because I thought he was kind of a late 2nd, early 3rd round talent, and he slips all the way to the 4th. We trade up to the 2nd pick in the 4th round and grab Troy Franklin, and I was ecstatic. You can see in 16 games, he had 28 receptions on 53 targets, 263 yards, averaged 9.4 yards per reception, and scored 2 touchdowns on the year. And of course, this is only in the regular season, not including the playoff game versus the Bills. But if you want to include that, you absolutely can. The biggest knock coming out against Troy Franklin was his route running ability. Right, he is a separator. He is going to get open, but he didn't run the crispest routes if you looked at his film. And then if you look at the combine, right, specifically the gauntlet where you have to stay on the line and you have to run down it and you have to catch a lot of passes, he was kind of bobbing and weaving and wasn't staying in a straight line, which apparently did concern some teams. But when Troy Franklin got on the field this season, or I guess let me give my initial grade for Troy Franklin. My initial grade when we traded up and drafted him, and you can go see it. These are all based on the video I published last year. I gave Troy Franklin a grade of an A+ because I thought this was tremendous value. Really wanted to play him in the 3rd, and we got him in the 4th. So I gave Troy Franklin an A+ here. But my updated grade, I guess I should say what happened this season. What happened this season is I believe Troy Franklin was a healthy scratch in week 1. And then after that, he got significant playing time and he was active every game. And, Troy Franklin, he got open. He did get open. He's got the speed. He got open. But the biggest problem, and I think every Broncos fan had this problem with Troy Franklin, was there were a lot of times he would drop a wide open go ball. I think the first instance was week 4 against the Raiders. He was going down the left sideline and he was wide open He was wide open in the end zone for a touchdown, and it went right through his hands. And that happened a couple times this season, and it was very frustrating for sure. But I still do like Troy Franklin, and I still think he has a high ceiling and high upside. I am still a believer in Troy Franklin, so let's not get that twisted. But I am going to have to give it a grade of a C+ because those drops are something that can't happen. But again, like I said, I believe in Troy Franklin, and I still like the upside that he brings to the team. He is someone who is going to get open, and he's going to make plays with the ball in his hands, right? He's going to use his speed. He's going to make plays happen. He's just got to catch the ball when he goes downfield and then work on the route running a little bit. But I still have a lot of high hope for Troy Franklin and the future of the Denver Broncos. So Troy Franklin, going to get a C+, but I still believe in Troy Franklin, and I'm hoping when we come and we revisit this video a couple years down the road, I'm hoping this is back up to that A+ range that I initially gave him. Moving on to the 5th round at pick 145, we selected Kris Abrams-Draine, cornerback out of Missouri. Now, Abrams-Draine was my 10th rated cornerback in this class, but he fell all the way to the 5th round, so I loved the value here. Now, Abrams-Draine, I will say this season, he was a healthy scratch for a large majority of the games, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but when he did get to play, I think, when was his first action? I think his first action was that Monday Night Football game against the Browns when he came in to replace Levi Wallace. But during his time when he did play, he allowed 7 completions on 16 targets for only 85 yards, which was a 43.8% completion percentage allowed, while allowing a passer rating of a 34.6, which is phenomenal. He didn't give up a single touchdown and only had 1 interception, and this is all during the regular season, right? And so, to me, Kris Abrams-Draine had a solid season, right? Ideally, he is going to play as a slot and the nickel, but I'm curious to see, and this isn't going to go into a part of the grades, but I'm curious to see where Abrams-Draine is going to play in the future, because it feels like there's kind of a logjam at that nickel position now, right? Jaquan McMillan started last season, who was someone I liked, and I thought he was a solid player for us, but obviously drafting Jahdae Barron, he's going to probably be the starter there. So McMillan's going to be the backup. So where does that leave Abrams-Draine? Are you going to make him an outside corner, which I do think he has the ability to do? So I'm just curious to see where Abrams-Draine is going to play this upcoming season for the Broncos, because I still really do like him as a player. I'm just trying to see where he fits into the vision long-term for the Broncos right now. But initially, I gave him a grade of a B- because I liked the pick. I don't know why I gave it a B- in particular. I think probably if I had to go back and put myself into that mindset, I'd probably give him a straight up B. I don't know why I gave it a B-. I'll be honest with you. But with the updated grade, I'm going to give him a B+. In the main, I want to put it higher. I want to give him a higher grade because of how well he played. What's holding me back, though, is just his playing time. His lack of playing time due to him being a healthy scratch for a majority of the year. That's why I can't put it any higher, because I felt like being a little bit too premature to put it in the A range for only 5 games, right? He's still going to go through some growing pains, still needs to get more time and reps on the field. But when he did play, he was a really solid corner for us, right? Came in of relief for Levi Wallace, played pretty solid, got the pass interference at the end of the game. But then the next week, I think it was against the Chargers, or maybe it was a few weeks down the road. I can't remember if it was the following game. He picked off Justin Herbert, and he played really solid against the Chargers and down the stretch in that game. Of course, the depth hurt us. That's why we went Jahdae Barron in the first round, but that's for a different video. Really like Abrams-Draine. I'm going to give him a B+, and I'm hoping we get to see more from Kris Abrams-Draine this upcoming season. Next up at pick 147, just 2 picks later from Kris Abrams-Draine, we selected running back Audric Estime out of Notre Dame. Now, Estime played in 13 games. I think he was hurt at the start of the season, and then he jumped into game action, and he had 76 carries for 310 yards, averaged 4.1 yards per carry, scored 2 touchdowns, and then in the receiving game, he had 5 receptions for 27 yards, and then was scratched in the playoff game. So he did not play against the Bills. And I think one of the biggest things, at least early on, it was the fumbles, right? It was he coughed the ball up a little bit early there, and then he started to improve, and that wasn't an issue down the stretch. But towards the start I guess, the start of his season, middle-ish area of the season for the Broncos, he did have that issue with the fumbles. So there was that concern. And then you would like someone of Estime who's not the biggest speed guy, right? Who's more of a physical running. You would like him to probably average, and 4.1 isn't horrible, but you would like him to average a little bit more per carry, right? And I mean, he didn't get a bulk of the carries, right? He didn't get a majority of the load. He is going to be a complement back to RJ Harvey this upcoming season, and I still like Estime. I still think he has a role and he has a place on this team. My initial grade for Audric Estime was a B-, and I think I'm going to have to give him an updated grade of a C because of the fumble issues that started at the beginning of the season, cleaned it up at the end, but then just the lack of reps that he really got. I mean, he got a decent amount, right? But it was mostly Javonte and Jaleel for a majority of the season. And then towards the end of the season, his carries started to ramp up a little bit. So I would like to see more usage from Audric Estime and then take advantage of those extra carries. And I still believe in Audric Estime. I know a lot of people are hating on Audric Estime online, but I still do believe Audric Estime has a place on this team as a complementary back, as a more physical running back, maybe a third down running back. When you need to pick up a yard or two, you're going to give it to him, and he's going to just pick up the extra yardage because he is a tank of a human. So I want to update this, and I want to give him a higher grade, and I hope it is a higher grade when we do revisit this draft class in a few years' time. But for right now, my updated grade for Estime is a grade of a C. Next up, 7th round at pick 235, and this was a pleasant surprise. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble talking right now, but it's Devaughn Vele, the wide receiver out of Utah. He had 13 targets. He played in 13 games for the Broncos with 41 receptions on 55 targets for 475 yards. He averaged 11.6 yards per reception and scored 3 touchdowns on the season. I can't remember when, but he did miss, obviously, some time with an injury. But when he was on the field, he was effective. He was a sure-handed guy. He was a reliable target for Bo Nix. Not someone who's really going to use his route running, or he's not going to be this elite separator, I should say. But he was a reliable target out of the slot. He's kind of this bigger slot option for the Broncos, right? And he was a surprise to me. When we initially drafted him, there were some other receivers who, when I was looking, I was like, they were players who I preferred because I actually knew them over Devaughn Vele. I didn't know who Devaughn Vele was at the time we drafted him. So there was that. Plus, he was an older rookie, I think at 26, 27 years old last season. And because of a mission trip, which I've got to applaud, I'm not going to hate on him for that. But I was confused at the pick at the time, which is why my initial grade was a C- for Devaughn Vele. But after this year, Devaughn Vele really, really surprised me, and my updated grade. Geez, I am really having a hard time talking right now. My updated grade for Devaughn Vele. I don't know why I said Vele. But my upgraded grade for Devaughn Vele is an A. Vele was a pleasant surprise. He's a reliable target. I think the biggest question I have is, what's the long-term output going to look like for Devaughn Vele? How long is he going to be with the team? What's his next contract going to look like? So that's where I stand. But after his rookie year, we can't be worrying about those questions. We can't be worrying about that. Based solely on his rookie year, I have to give this pick a grade of an A because he was a really, really solid 7th round pick for the Broncos, and he shocked me. He blew my expectations out of the water. So Devaughn Vele is going to get a grade of an A, and maybe many of you are thinking, well, maybe that's a little bit too high, Parker. An A for Devaughn Vele? Well, it's a 7th round pick. You're taking flyers on a lot of these guys in the 7th round, but based on how this pick hit in the 7th round, it is an A with what type of play you got in the 7th round. Moving on to our final pick in the draft. This was the second to last pick in the entire draft at pick 256, we selected Nick Gargiulo, who's an interior guy from South Carolina, played center with the Gamecocks, but has the versatility to play guard as well. And during his 2024 rookie season, he was not on the active roster. He was a practice squad player for the Broncos. My initial grade for it was a grade of a C because, again, you're taking a flyer, you're taking a shot in the dark at these players in the 7th round. Also, I think that picture right there is not actually of Nick Gargiulo. I think that's actually Alex Forsyth and Zach Wilson. Thought it was Gargiulo, but that is actually clearly Alex Forsyth. But my updated grade for Nick Gargiulo is going to be an incomplete because I can't grade him based on him just being on the practice squad, right? It's a 7th round flyer. It's the second to last pick in the draft. You're essentially picking someone who you would like probably as an undrafted free agent, but maybe you're worried they're going to sign with another team, so you pick them here in the draft, and that's what the Broncos did with Gargiulo. It's going to be an incomplete. Didn't play his rookie year, and we'll see what happens during his career, but I'm not going to grade it an F because he didn't play, right? So he's going to get a grade of an NA, an incomplete, right? So that's my grade for Gargiulo. Overall, I don't have a slide for this, but overall for this class right now, I'm going to give it a solid grade of a B+, right? I think you hit on your franchise quarterback, got a really solid receiver in the 7th. Jonah Elliss, you got a solid edge rusher. Got a running back, got a couple receivers, right? So I'm going to give it a B+ just off the top of my head right now, but we'll see how this class evolves. We'll see how it develops. Could go up, could go down. Hopefully it goes up, but it all depends on how this class plays and how it performs. But everyone, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy. My name is Parker, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.